You receive the wrong message. You could be applying the right technique, the right tactic, the right strategy, and it not go well for you. And so my whole way of declaring and waging war on this problem is by giving us an upgrade in our minds. Because I don't need to tell you what to do. I don't need to say, hey, should you get blockers on your phone or should you delete your apps? But when your mind is renewed, and you understand the journey and what it looks like, you'll know exactly what to do. And so my goal is to come with like almost a gentle but ferocious energy, because I love you. I don't want to see you get destroyed. I don't want to see you lack in your life. I want to see you win. I want to see you excel. I want every single person to be able to know that it's so possible to break free.
You like this, you like being daddy's arms with microphones now. You like being a worker. You're made for the camera. Both my boys are.
Hey, this video you are about to watch is a part of a series where I show you how to quit porn the right way. So do yourself a favor, binge on all of this content, all the videos that you possibly can, because who knows, maybe if the value and the trust is built together over this journey, you'll want to jump into a community that I call Fit for Family. Or maybe you think these videos suck, and that's also fair too. But nonetheless, there's only one way for us to find out. So enough of me, let's get back to serving you and let's get back to the video. All right, my friends, in 2024, the game has changed. That means the way that we have been trying to quit porn all these years worked for a time, it worked for a period, but it doesn't anymore. The only thing that's consistent in life for any one of us is change, is things always shifting, always adapting. And if you look at the scriptures, there's a constant flow, a constant river of the Holy Spirit moving in and through the scriptures, where you can see that God is changing what he's doing. You could see it from Abraham with Isaac, to Noah and the flood, to David against Goliath, to Daniel in the lion's den, to John the Baptist making a way prepared for the Lord. You could see it from Saul turning into Paul in the New Testament, and over and over and over again. You can see it through the past few thousand years since the time of Jesus, that you have seen God doing new and specific things, waking up the hearts of people. And so here's one of the biggest things I want to communicate to you, and I want this to empower you massively. Over 2,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, as the scriptures were unfolding and the characters of the Bible were living, Paul and Solomon said something to the effect, especially in 1 Corinthians 6:18, Paul did say to run and flee from sexual immorality, right? You can see in Proverbs, Solomon talking about running from the harlot, running away from a house filled with women and prostitution, and getting away from it as quick as possible. Here's what I want to say, that in the next 10 seconds, on my phone or on your phone, we have access to more pornography than what Solomon had access to is in his entire life, than what Paul had access to in his entire life. And so if you're thinking, let's just think here, because I want to propose to you an idea that's different, and it doesn't go against the scriptures. It actually follows in line with it, because if you look at the scriptures, Paul talked about obeying your earthly masters, although we would never agree to slavery now. You with me? None of us would be like, yeah, slavery is awesome. Although Paul was saying, hey, if you're a slave, like, listen to your master. So he was not necessarily embracing it or condoning it, but he was talking in the context of the people and what they were dealing through, and saying, hey, if you are a slave, like, just serve them to the best of your ability as much as you possibly can, because that's what the model was back then. Doesn't mean it was right, it just was what it is. So back then, when they said to run and flee from sexual immorality, it's because of the lack of ability there was to actually walk that thing out. Now, for example, if you were to be in battle, you were to be in war, okay? Here's a bit of an analogy for you. Let's just think open-mindedly, because I want to build a case for you for why you shouldn't run from sexual immorality anymore, and why you need to run towards, not sexual immorality, but run towards fighting it. So let me explain. If you were to be in battle, you were to be in war, and there were to be, a couple people as you're going along your journey to your camp, and you see them, and there's one here, one there, it's like, dude, you're going to want to avoid them. Like, you don't want to unnecessarily be seen, be heard, be noticed. So it's like, flee, run. But if all of a sudden you see that there's like 50 or 100 guys, like all circled around you now, and there's nowhere that you can run, there's nothing that you can do, you best believe that one of the only things that you can do is try to enter in, is try to fight, is try to find a way to be able to actually overcome the situation and scenario you're in. And so I would say 2,000 years ago, sexual immorality, sexual sin, sexual bondage and brokenness was a battle. But now in 2024, it's no longer a battle. It's become a full-out war. It's a war. It's on our left, it's on our right, it's all around. You see it in advertisements, commercials, TV shows, movies, on Netflix, any subscription that you're supplied to. You can see it on YouTube, on Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook. Everywhere we go, we're inundated with the opportunity to access porn. And so what I want to share with you within all of that is that there needs to be an absolute upgrade, an absolute shift. Because again, I've been free from porn for about 11 years now. And one of the things that I had to routinely do and be diligent to do is to stop running away. Because the idea of running away, when we say flee from sexual immorality, and a lot of guys do this, they're like, I try to ignore it. I try to repress it. I try to suppress it. I believe God is actually changing what he's doing in the world right now. And he's giving us new language. I think that there is a model of Christianity that the Lord is beginning to refine as we follow him, that he's saying, hey, I actually want my children to become emotionally healthy. I want them to become spiritually healthy. I don't want them to spiritually bypass their pain all the time. I actually want them to know the God who's involved in their mess and in their struggle. And so in my life and in the lives of the people that I've been working with, I've found it to be incredibly helpful to say, hey, let go of the mentality that's just designed for you to run away. I don't think that the Bible was wrong. I think that they were absolutely right given the time, the context, and the problems that were dealing with at that point in time. But it's like the devil's been upgrading his tactics. He's been upgrading what he's doing, his strategy, his methods, and how much access there is for you and I to access pornography at any given moment on our phones. And I'm just saying that from what I see God doing is that he wants to upgrade you and I as well. He wants you and I to become better, become stronger, become wiser, so that at least if we are talking about running away, we do it differently. Most people's way of trying to flee and run and avoid sexual immorality or porn or whatever is actually through avoidance, which is an unhealthy coping mechanism. And so the idea of running away for most of us is that we avoid, is that we repress. We suppress our emotions, we suppress our thoughts, we suppress our desires, we suppress our urges because we just feel like we're really, really bad and we don't know how to deal with it. And so one of my goals here inside of this process, in this journey together, is not that you continue repressing, suppressing, and pushing down and running away from the battle. But I heard someone say it this way: the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. The thing that we are the most afraid to confront is sometimes the thing that we need to confront the most. I've heard someone else say it this way as well: what you resist the most, you need the most. And so if we are resisting the root reasons why we have urges, feelings of incompetence, of not being worthy, of not feeling like we're good enough and that we don't measure up or that there's rejection, and that when we avoid those things, we end up running to porn unknowingly, subconsciously. It's all in the background of our mind, and we'll get into it more. But that's what I want to share, is that most people's view of battling requires them to run away in avoidance with their tail between their legs, and it doesn't have us feeling powerful. It doesn't have us feeling masculine. It doesn't have us feeling like we're connected to God. And so one reframe that I've had is to say, okay, it's time that we get tools, we get strategy, we get tactics, we get armor, and we get an upgrade so we can actually defeat this thing. Again, it's 2024. Over 2,000 years ago, porn didn't even exist. Sexual immorality was a battle, and now it's a full-out war. And so this journey that we're going on together with my heart for you is that you can learn to gain and give yourself tools. Now, if you want me to define what I mean by a tool or a tactic or a strategy, and I'll get into it more in the videos as we go along, is more of a reframe. and how we think, changing the way we think, because the Bible's clear in 1 Corinthians. It says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So that means that transformation is going to happen in here primarily. I've heard people say when it comes to business, relationships, or life, or anything, it's that it's 80% mindset. It's 80% how you see the world, and it's 20% strategy. It's 20% the actual thing that you do. And most people focus all of their time and effort when quitting porn on the strategy, on the actual physical tactic, like get blockers, get an accountability partner, delete apps on your phone. And they're not bad things. But if you are still struggling with the 80%, the bulk and the majority of it, which is what Jesus confronted the disciples, the Pharisees, and people over and over and over again, is the way in which they saw the world, and you are still operating with a wildly unrenewed mind, one that was educated in the wrong school of thought by parents, teachers, siblings, grandparents, aunts, uncles, whoever, coaches, educators, and you receive the wrong message, you could be applying the right technique, the right tactic, the right strategy, and it not go well for you. And so my whole way of declaring and waging war on this problem is by giving us an upgrade in our minds, in the realm of how we think and how we see the world. Because from when we do it that way, because I don't need to tell you what to do. I don't need to say, hey, should you get blockers on your phone or should you delete your apps? But when your mind is renewed and you understand the journey and what it looks like, you'll know exactly what to do. And so that's my goal, is to help strip and peel away all of the blocks, all the mental blocks, debunk a lot of myths that we might be having about quitting porn so that you can just more effortlessly step in. And that's what I find to be the biggest blocks for people with quitting porn, is they have ideas, they have thoughts, they have patterns, they have belief systems, they have ways in which they see the world that are causing them to go back to their vomit over and over again and not be able to break free. It's not that you're not trying hard enough. It's not that you're not praying hard enough. It's not that you're not good enough. It's that the way that we see this whole battle needs to shift. And so my goal is to come with like almost a gentle but ferocious energy, because I love you. I don't want to see you get destroyed. I don't want to see you lack in your life. I want to see you win. I want to see you excel. I want every single person to be able to know that it's so possible to break free, but not if we keep running away in avoidance. But when we actually start hearing the heart of God and saying, okay, Lord, you have things within me that you want me to deal with, that you want me to face. You're not going to deal with it for me. You're going to do it with me. We're going to co-partner and co-labor together, and that I can do. And as we enter in and we prep for that type of war, it has us seen that this maybe isn't supposed to be a cakewalk, but this is actually supposed to be a conscious, intentional, deliberate journey that we go on, understanding that there is going to be, whether you want to call it warfare, whether you want to call it blocks, whether you want to call it just emotional turmoil, not because, God wants to see you struggle, but because in order to renew our mind, we have to challenge a lot of the belief systems that we've been having that no longer serve us. So again, don't want to go too deep right now. I want to give us kind of bite-sized, Costco-sized samples and portions so that we can keep divulging, keep taking this all in and have it not be too overwhelming. But keep going. I love you lots. You got this. Hey, real quick, if you like that video that you just saw, or if you want to see even better videos than this in a series that I made called Annihilate Porn to help guys or girls like you quit porn, you can subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't forget any alerts, comment, like, all that jazz, and more importantly, check out the next video that's going to take you even further on the journey from where you are to where you want to be. I love you tons. I'll catch you in the next one.